working. Yeah. Shush. Woo. Shush. Something. Behave. Cat, behave. Hello everyone, welcome to the Freedom Network. Am I live? I have no idea. Apologies for the late start. I have had an interesting morning, to say the least. It's been very... Sorry, folks. We're just in disarray this morning after being interrupted. There we go. Yes, things are a lot better now. I am here. We're going to see the beautiful Denise Chadwick this morning on the Freedom Network once I have finally settled and stopped crashing and everything. Okay, so let's see. Where is Denise? Let's see if she's on the... Yes, she is. She's here. Beautiful. And as ever, so patient, so gorgeous, so respectful of me being an absolute idiot. Right, there we go. There we are. So we have Denise. Welcome to the show, Denise. Denise, it's lovely to have you again. I can't see you and your mic's off.
Hi.
There we go. Beautiful. Oh, you're...
Oh, am I sideways? All right, I'm going to say. I wonder why that's not working. That's strange. It normally does.
That's all right. Yeah, tech has been insane this week. Like, it's been really funny. Like, very, very amusing for me, all the many different creative ways I have to make friends with technology since starting this show, and it just makes me laugh, Denise. It just does. It's like every time you think, yeah, I've got this, I've it sorted, there's some wee ego test of your metal that comes through and via these bloody technologies. So how on earth are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just adjusting my little tripod. I could have taken some of the 21 books that the tripod is on.
Right, okay.
I'm just going to lower it instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Right, take your time.
I'm in the middle of doing,
yeah,
as you might have noticed, 21-day live thing.
Beautiful. I love it.
Now then.
I have seen that. I'm delighted you're doing more of the light language than ever. That is such a gift to all of us. I am really pleased. I've been off my feet getting us relaunched this week, so I haven't had a chance to get into them yet, but I've already saved all videos and going, save. And they're so beautiful. I love where you go. Just the energy, the venue, the places that you find is so perfect.
Yeah, and I ran out of data. I have a feeling that when I was on Paul's show, I might not have been on the house Wi-Fi.
Right.
So I ran out of data, but I'm really hoping, I think I'm going to get more data for Sunday. Sunday's the last one.
Good.
And it's been quite a journey as well doing it. It was interesting how it came about. So when I was chatting to Todd Medina, I mentioned that I was thinking of doing 21 days for myself.
Yeah.
Because I was curious. That's the reason why I was doing it. I was curious as to how I would feel making sure that I did at least one light language activation every day.
Yeah.
So that was my reason for doing it. And obviously my higher self colluded with Todd's higher self, because it had crossed my mind to do it live, and I was like, nah. So when he suggested it, I kind of went, damn it.
No, you have to.
Yeah, just it being brought out.
Yes.
You know, into the ether. I was like, damn it, I'm going to have to do that now. So it started on 11/11 because I thought I'll do one then anyway. And then I thought, well, that can be day one. And then that's one crossed off. I didn't announce it as one of 21 until I think day 3. Yeah. Second day, I was like, no, I'm just going to do this and not say anything. And day 3, I decided to do a light language on resistances because I could really feel how strong they were.
Yeah. Choice.
And since then I've actually been really enjoying them. It's been such an interesting journey. And I'm not going to keep doing them every day, but I will be doing more than I was, and not just light language but more lives. I think
Yeah, because you're so natural. You're so natural, you know. You have this energy that's so flowing, and you never interrupt. You're never disruptive. You have this very pure quality to your frequency. And it's always a balm to check in with anything that you've created or shared. It's always like, oh my God. And you came into my field so softly, right? So gently appeared, right? That seeing you now taking up space matters. Like, I am pleased because of the level of integrity in the work that you do and the power behind it. Your light language is immense. These transmissions are very, very special. And you, as a soul, also very special. So it is really, really good to see that. I'm glad that Todd challenged you. He's really into the live thing. He's like, I was talking to him the other night and he went, you know, that's the thing, Seanin, you might want to go on. He goes, but you go on and you do it organically. He goes, because you're doing it regularly, you lose, he goes, you lose your inhibitions. He goes, so you show up more naturally. He goes, it has a certain quality to it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, actually, because if you stop, you start thinking about it again. You know, and I'm kind of in that space now where I'm like, for myself as well, being more disciplined. Like, I felt like that's been a big thing for me this week. Where it's like, I want to be disciplined in how I'm sharing. I want to be clear and concise about what I'm here for, you know, and keep showing up for that and not get distracted, right? Because there's so much to be distracted by out here. But when we're here to create, you know, you want to be creating in the highest way possible. So yes, 21-day lives. Yes, I love it.
And it does get easier to press that button as well. Like when I used to do them, it would take me a few goes to press live.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh no, not ready yet. Oh no, not ready yet. So it's definitely I'm much more comfortable doing it as well.
Good. I'm glad. And there's a quality to that, especially when it's something ceremonial or energetic. As soon as the audience comes in, there's a level of the sacred about what you're doing, man. You know, like it gives us this beautiful focus, and takes us deeper into what we're meant to be doing. Like the intention of it is more sharp, more pronounced. So you're not getting lost in your own stuff then when there's an audience. You're like, do you know what? No, I'm here for a reason, right? And it heightens everything. Like, you know, in the old days, we used to all just gather by a fire. Like, there are no fires now. There's live Facebook. That's how we did, you know?
That's a really good point. And I really like that point. It is. It's like sitting in a circle. It's how we used to do it, how we used to share.
Yeah.
And the circle's huge. The circle goes all the way around the globe now, which is amazing.
Exactly. Like, it's important that it's being utilized and that we are seeing the value of what's being put out there. Like, Todd really got him again, right? He really got me in the stomach. Like, about 4 or 5 days ago, I was in this lull, energetically very heavy. All I wanted to do was sleep. I was like, no, I don't want to move. And then he came on live, and I told him this the other day about some of his transmissions. He gets on and he just speaks, right? And it's like modern day devotion. It's like someone standing on top of a rock, you know, and just speaking out the soul of themselves. And he did it and he went, we should be mainstream. And I was like, oh, right? And I took it and I ran with it. And I went, yes, and moved past this fog I'd been in. And it was a fog. And I felt like all of us are lifting out of that now. Can you feel that? I can feel it. I feel like we were in a really sticky, weird stage for a bit. And it was lovely having everyone kind of gather and be close to each other through it. But they're definitely coming out of that now. How have you been doing in yourself, energetically, personally, now that you're taking these big leaps?
Good, actually. October was a really challenging month for me. October was all about doing the separation wound and really going into that. There was a lot of grief for me in October, and actually bringing in codes relating to that separation wound as well. And they were really quite challenging to birth those codes. Sometimes when you're doing written codes, you're holding all the frequencies inside you. So you're holding the unity consciousness inside you, but you're also really holding the separation. You're holding both sides of the figure of 8 to get to that still point. So October was really quite a challenge. So really anything since then is just a bit of a breeze. in comparison. So yeah, I'm feeling good, actually. I'm looking forward to 2020. And just, it's just very interesting how things, you know, there's a lot of things that have come in from the 21 day that I wasn't really expecting as well, you know. And I know I'm flooding everyone. I apologize for flooding everyone's feed, because
no.
all the
Talking to the wrong woman.
All the previous posts get there. I don't always know which one I'm answering comments on either, because I can't always go back to the post. You know, there's 19 of them there, and there's the written codes that I've been putting out as well. So there's quite a lot out there. Yeah. So yeah, it's really interesting. I'm feeling the energy of 2020 already. And I must just say at this point, before I forget as well, that I'm so grateful for that little reading that you did for me live as well. I'm sure that has had influence on this too. And how much of that you remember, I'm not sure, but a lot of it was about me leading and kind of like taking my place now. Because I've done a lot of collaborations since, would it have been the 11 years, so last year. It felt really right to do a lot of collaborations and bringing in that unity consciousness. It's a way of doing that. But I was kind of feeling that I'd lost myself in that a little bit as well. So yeah, it feels like it's time for me to step up and not stop doing collaborations, because collaborations are awesome. And it really brings a beautiful co-creation energy. But doing more things myself. And can I say this now? Yes. Okay, I'm getting the go ahead. So I don't know, I can't remember quite the words that you put, but you said something about a garden and alchemy.
I don't know if I remember one part of it about like you stepping up more, but I think it's because the human in me relates. The more soulful impact of the message I don't tend to understand. It's very much for you, you know. But tell me, because this is interesting and I love getting this feedback.
So one of the things I'm going to do, I don't know if this is going to be it might be a regular thing, but it's called the Rose Garden of Alchemization. And already you feel that energy. Hey, it's kind of like, oh.
I was gonna say to you, not to interrupt, right? Totally stay exactly where you are. I was gonna say to you, the reason why you need added is because of that Sophia frequency you're carrying. It's untampered with, no distortion. Very, very, very pure Sophia frequency that I pick up from you. Right? And I know you've mentioned it briefly before, but it was already there. In terms of visual, it's gold, etheric energy with a lot of like soft pink, right? Yeah. That's the color frequencies that I see around you as well. And when we think of ourselves as energy, there's a necessity for you on a huge level, right? Like taking up space isn't about getting anywhere. It's simply, right, this is what's required to hold what we are creating. So like, yeah. And you said rose garden, I was like, yes.
Because if I had one thing to say what my work's about, it's one of the biggest things is getting people in their heart space. For people to make their decisions from their heart space. Yes. But 5D isn't about your frequency. I mean, it is. You have to be of a certain frequency. But if your heart's not open and you're not working from your heart space, that's kind of like, that's what opens the door to 5D. And it's tricky in life. You know, life throws its triggers, which feels then like we're out of our heart space and down in our solar plexus in that, like, you know, ragey, angry kind of place. So it's about us as being in our heart space and being able to stay in our heart space. And
the job.
Awesome, it's a job. Awesome work on the 5D toolkit as well, by the way. That feels like, the feel of that to me is like, it makes me feel teary. I feel the importance of that. And once it's there, it's kind of like, because people really are going to start awakening, and we need those things to be there ready already. And that's what I see those podcasts as being a lot to do with that. It's getting us ready for that time so that we can just ride with it when it's there. And that's partly why I'm stepping up as well. It's kind of, it really is time for a lot of us to be there and be visible so that people have someone to turn to. You know, when I started my awakening journey, we read books. We might have got together with a few people. I had an amazing Reiki share group that I got together with in Manchester. Yeah. And Sarah, who owns the Healthy Spirit shop in Disbury, was one of those. I just suddenly felt like giving her a plug there. And so at that time, it wasn't as easy to find information as it is now. Now, the difficulty with that is discernment, because there's so much information out there and not all of it's heart-based. So the discernment is finding what works for you, and what works for you may not work for everybody. But through this podcast, you're giving people such a choice as well that they will be drawn to what they need. So what I'm feeling that I will do for that is something relating to heart stuff, heart awakening, and
I knew you would. Just like, it's so perfect. Like Jed's just said underneath, Denise is a harmonizer, balancer, amongst other things. And then he's shared a wee dolphin emoji. Jed's really good at picking that stuff up. Yes, very true. And
been connecting a lot with Jed. There's like a little pod that is formed of like-minded souls, and it's really come together very organically. In maybe the last 3 weeks. It might only be I know when it was. Whenever Todd did that Zoom call, that big Zoom call, it was after that, because a dear friend of mine, Tori Bassett, who's in New Zealand, we do a lot of work together. She does incredible. When she's ready, she'll be someone to have on the show as well.
Thank you.
She is absolutely incredible, the work that she's been doing, and sometimes she'll call on me. She does a lot of work with the hard drive, or as we renamed it, the heart drive of the planet. And sometimes if she just needs an extra person just to like hold some frequencies or whatever, she'll call on me. So we three got together, and then many other people mainly that Jed has known have kind of joined this pod, and the deep work that we are doing is phenomenal.
Wow.
One of the it really is.
Love it.
It's just very deep planetary service work. There's a lot of dragon stuff that we've been doing, and working with the wounded dragon, because I've been working with dragon energy, and I haven't focused on the wounded aspect, and it so correlates to the wounded feminine, the divine feminine, because to me that's what dragons represent. They represent the divine feminine, and it's figurative as well in a way. Like George slaying the dragon was actually, the original story was that he went in and sang to the dragon, who then turned into the maiden. It was had a different slant to it. Yes. But that said, you know, dragons were misunderstood and demonized. And so they've been very wounded as well. And as we awaken them, we're also healing those wounds. But often we feel that within our physical bodies. It's all of us. It's our feminine energy. We are the dragons. We are also the sword that slayed, and we are also the slayer. So we've really been working on that deep, deep wound, amongst other things, but that's been one particular. I don't know if you can see I don't think you can on the angle, but there's a dragon mask on my door, and it's always, the way that it hangs there on the door, it's always been kind of like the face forward. And when we started doing the wounded dragon work, I noticed its face was kind of like that to one side, and it looked really wounded. And I keep trying to put it back, and it won't go back straight properly until we finish this work.
That's interesting. That is interesting. The depth of the work that you do fascinates me. How long have you been doing this for? I know I've asked you before.
I received my first Reiki treatment December 2000. And I learned Reiki May 2001. I'd had a bit of an awakening reading the Celestine Prophecy But actually got into my healing work in 2001, and I was a nurse, so very left brain, very scientific in my approach. Like, you know, not all nurses are, but I was particularly, didn't believe in energy or reflexology or any of that stuff. But when I had a treatment, it was like, whoa, I could really feel the energy. I'm really sensitive to energy, but I didn't know that. And especially the energy inside my body, I can feel really, really deep inside my own body. And I transmute a lot of the collective pain through my body. That's how I've worked a lot. So since then, really, and the light language started coming through in written form, in the form of like written codes. When I first moved to Byron Bay, which was February 2005, as soon as I landed there, really, in that Lemurian energy, that had a deep awakening kind of effect on me as well. Spoken light language, a sentence came through in 2011, just one little sentence. And then it came through after I learned something called Anubis Reiki with a lady called...
You were on a beach at one point too, weren't you? Like there was a beach element to this.
Definitely. And the whales and the dolphins, as Jed mentioned as well. One day when it really came in strongly, so I'd been doing codes and spoken language a bit, but the big actions that I do with my body when I'm bringing in new frequencies for the grid, the planetary grid, that came in big time. I was just using a crystal bowl and singing with it. And the energy was so strong I could hardly keep my eyes open. I had to go shower, and I showered which is tricky, showered with my eyes closed. And even walking down the beach, it was mainly with my eyes closed, to a sacred tea tree lake. Not actually at the water, I was a bit kind of behind it, but at the back of the beach. And I could so feel the whale energy there. It was still winter when that started coming through. And it was interesting that year when the whales came back with their calves, because they go north and feed up and have their calves, and then they go back south. So on their return, they have the little calves with them. And Byron Bay, there's two headlands, so it's kind of like a horseshoe shape, the beach. So beautiful. And every time I went out there, I had whales in front of me, always a family of whales like rolling about. And it was quite funny taking photographs of them in the beginning because I had a nice camera, and they could hit over. I was singing to them. Did I say this last time? I was singing to them to try and attract them so that I could take photos of them. Mm-hmm. And I'd heard that they like the Carpenters. So I was singing Carpenters songs, but I'd only know like, you know, a couple of lines. I
love the Carpenters. You're not wrong with bringing them up.
And I could telepathically connect with them, and they were laughing. Because I was kind of saying, I'm a bit sick of singing Carpenter's song now, because I would only, as I say, I'd only know a couple of lines. And they were laughing, saying, you don't have to just sing the Carpenters to us. We hear the frequencies that you're putting out, and you're not going to be short of photographs this year either. And as it happened, I sprained my ankle, so I couldn't walk very far and I couldn't do so much work. So I was on the beach. I could hobble across the road from where I was living to the beach. And they were always in front of me, like always. And you see the whales coming, you see a glint when the top fin comes out of the water, and my eyes are particularly honed in on that. So you see like a glint from the sun reflecting on the watery fin. So you start to know that they're there and they're coming, but they would just sit in front of me for ages, and I was activating their calves. And it seemed like this beautiful reciprocation. So they'd activated me, and the light language was activating their cards. Whoa. There's still videos that are on my camera that I've not managed to get off, actually, of them just rolling about in front of me. And that was just so typical.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that so much. And this experience as well with working with the wounded dragon. Your closeness to the dragons fascinates me. There's like a deep relationship there. When did that begin for you? Do you know? Or was this a gradual evolution?
It was a bit of a gradual evolution, but I loved them as a child. There was a program called The Clangers.
I remember The Clangers.
And it had a suit dragon, I think, on there. And we had like a wooden puppet of a suit dragon. So that was always there as a child. But when I was in Byron, I wrote a book that hasn't been published yet because it needs a lot of work and I don't have a computer to work on it, which is a little bit frustrating because I can feel it. I can feel the sequel wanting to come through. And it was about, I didn't know when I started it. I started writing it because I was so far away from my niece, who was only 2.5 when I left England. And I wanted to kind of bring in some of my life in Australia in the form of a story so that she kind of get why I was there. And my energy attracts a lot of animals. It always has done. There's a few stories I can share in that. We'll see how we go with this. But so all the posts that I used to do were all photographs of animals because they'd come really close and I'd snap them. And so I wanted to share some of the enchanted encounters that I'd had with animals with my niece. And there was a bit of a storyline there about a koala because I never got to see the koala. And because the two children in the book, Daniel and Daisy, twins, Daniel really wanted to see a koala and he didn't because I didn't. And I couldn't, it was kind of my life in so many ways up until the point that the dragon came in. And I didn't realize when I started writing it that there was this story in there. And it was about this beautiful dragon whose egg gets pushed out of the earth on Christmas Day. And Daniel sees it, not knowing what it is, and has the urge to rescue this egg. But the baddies are trying to get this egg because they know it'll be worth a lot of money and it's a baby dragon. So they have to keep it safe in the earth, which is like the dragon's womb, and keep it safe. And then it hatched. And I'm giving too much of the story away, but they have to keep it safe until the mum comes. So that's like the last third of the book. So that was where I really started encountering the dragons. And I would, when I do work on the land and on the energy lines, and I did a lot of work on the land and actually had permission from a dear soul, Lewis Walker, to do work on the land there, because a lot of it is very recent trauma to the land. It's since the arrival of the English, basically. It's all the massacre stuff. So he gave me permission to do that work on the land. I've completely lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that?
Talking about the dragons and your relationship to them.
Yes. So I would find sometimes when I was doing the work that I'd call on one of the characters in the book and be like, hang on a minute, that's a character. That's not just a character, that's actually real. So yeah, my relationship kind of grew from there. And then once I came back to England, I was asked to do work on the dragons and on awakening the dragons. So I missed the whales, but their energy was kind of still with me. And then I had the dragon energy as well. So my feeling on that is that so many dragons are asleep, basically. They've been dormant, waiting for the energy of the planet and our energy, but basically the overall frequency of the planet to be of such a resonance that it's kind of safe for them to come out. And I see them in the same way as fairies or angels, that their frequency is higher than ours, and that's why we can't see them. They can lower their frequency so that they can be seen, but basically their frequency is higher than ours, and that's why we can't always see them. But we can feel them and we can see them with our inner vision. And the veil is becoming so much thinner anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we still hold fear, as the dragons did with us as well. They held fear from the humans too. So there's a lot of work to be done regarding that and regarding forgiveness. And so I was asked to start awakening them and the eggs as well. Started in Wales. I think it started in Wales. I have a strong recollection of doing it in Wales. Maybe I was doing it before, but there was some
Wales. I can understand why Wales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The veil is thinner there, especially in places like the mountains, and such a beautiful place. But the dragons have always been honoured there, and it's on their flag. So they kept that love there.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Wow. And do you feel the frequencies that move through you as light language? There are dragon essences, transmissions that come through as well.
Yeah.
And
yeah, in the written codes, especially, sometimes they feel very dragon-like.
Yeah.
And people often ask, you know, is that Pleiadian? Is that Lyran? You know, when they're asking about the light language. And the way that it feels right to me to explain it is that it's universal, really. It's source energy that's coming through me. And there are many frequencies coming through at the same time,
Yes.
but one might be slightly further forward than the others, so you might hear that one a little bit more. But even within a sentence, even within a word, the frequency can change.
Yeah.
So it's many that are coming through at the same time, and dragons included in that. And I've had some interesting experience of merging with my dragon aspects. To me, the dragons were the first beings on earth. They created the grids of energy, and I believe we all have dragon DNA. So we're all dragons.
I love that. I have such a strong relationship as well, and only not. It's not strong in the way yours would be, but like they're the first thing I see always. Dragons are always the first thing that I associate and connect with and see, and my biggest one of my biggest experiences carried. I was kind of put in the position of being in the company of a dragon that I recognized, that I knew. Like, the love was overwhelming. It was so beautiful. Like, it was so beautiful. And for some reason, and this is weird, this dragon that I saw, and I've seen a few since, had strong association with my cat. Like, the energy was the same, which was really odd. It was like, I recognize you in the same way, and I have such a strong relationship with my cat, right? So it was like, oh, so perhaps it's a similar dynamic with this dragon. And I remember Boggy teaching me about that, the idea of them, the concept of them having been here longer than anything has been here, frankly.
Yeah.
And I don't sense with the dragons at the minute any urgency, whereas earlier in the year I felt an urgency with our connections and the clearing and the work that was being done around them, whereas now there's a much more playful, there's a much more open vibrational state with all of the elementals beyond here. Like, it feels warmer and more joyful, like we've already arrived somewhere. It's when you're in the non-physical, in that place, that it seems like a lot has changed, and in a really powerful way too.
They remind me of dogs as well. They've certainly got a few dog traits, like the loyalty and the unconditional love and the protection aspects. To me, seem very dog-like, but I totally hear you on and you know, cats are really that divine feminine as well. They have such strong feminine energy, and there is so much love. When I connected with the whales, I would ask them, because sometimes you see them really close to kayaks, and they could easily flip a kayak. They could easily, you know, do the tail slapping and do damage to humans, and they don't. And I was asking them, because it's not that long since it's only 80 years, I think, maybe even less, since whaling was stopped around the Byron area. And whales live a long time. And I think that some of the whales that are alive now would have been alive then. And I was asking them, you know, how that was for them and where they were at with that. And it's like they're way beyond forgiveness even. It's like that energy of the adult and the young child that doesn't know any better. And what they said to me was, you're the ones holding the energy still of this, the guilt. We've actually, you know, moved way past that, but it's the people, it's the humans that are still holding that energy. And I suspect it's the same with the dragons as well.
Wow, that's powerful. That's a beautiful reflection. Gives such permission to continue associating and connecting. Like, all of this collective guilt's a big thing, right? And it's something I think I've been dealing with quite recently, now that we're discussing this. I'm just on the cusp of understanding the fact that a lot of what I experience is never just me, it's collective. I'm much, much more attuned to that. Before, I used to have to step into a mindset to remember, whereas now I'm applying it always, and I'm aware of it always. And guilt is huge. And I feel like there's a lot of collective guilt coming up as we are starting to streamline ourselves, connect ourselves to this higher state of being that is available. Like all of the guilt has, I feel like it's the last stage.
Yeah.
Feels like the last stage to me, letting go of that, allowing ourselves to feel into joy and to feel into creative experience from an unhampered place. What's available to us now is not with distortion. It can't be met with distortion. And guilt is a distortion. It's one of the greatest ones that exists, and especially among those with open hearts.
Yeah, and the grief that I experienced in October as well was way off the charts. And it was kind of like, well, I'm doing grief, I may as well do it as much as I can, kind of thing. And I think that's how it is with us. When we feel things, we feel it in a disproportionate level, because we are doing collective. We are always clearing for everybody and transmuting for everybody, and from all that's gone before as well. And we used to say 7 generations, and I think we're going way beyond the 7 generations. We're going back and back and back and back to Dot, really, with the work that we're doing here, because it's galactic work as well. The work isn't just working on our planet. It's universal. It's whatever happens here, its ripples happen across the universe.
Yes.
So a lot of what we're doing may not even be isolated to Earth as well, because we have many aspects. We are multidimensional. And I believe we all are. We're all star seeds. So we have these multidimensional aspects as well that are from multiple places in the universe.
Wow, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, and so true. So true. There's an amazing sense of life being a bit of a gift at the minute. I don't know if you're feeling that. Right? Like, do you feel like there's been so much blessing us? I'm seeing the impact of a heart-led decision way faster, right? And the communications, people that are coming in, the stuff that's happening, the things that are occurring for me that I'm just letting occur, all really blessed, really beautiful. And I think it's important that we're drawing attention to that, that the abundance that we each are experiencing and sharing with each other. Like, your 21-day video is an abundant state. And it's a beautiful, beautiful addition to where we are now. And I'm so thrilled that this is a step that you're going to continue to take. I know it will be. And it matters, because the light language, the Reiki, all of it, it's like, it's felt with you outside of you actually doing the work. Being in your company, being with you is an activation in itself. And that's very powerful. So no matter what you're doing, and I said it to someone recently, may you be juggling, and the impact is there. I feel it every time we talk. There's so much love born from you. And I have a question, right? Was there a point in your reality where everything just flipped, or was it a gradual evolution into this new dimensional state? Because you are holding it. So was it a straightaway, or was it something that evolved?
I think it's been gradual. There was a sudden, receiving that first Reiki treatment was a definite, that was a huge. And then me becoming attuned to Reiki. But since then, I was in a place, I wasn't in such a good place, really, at that time. I was quite a senior nurse in a job that I wasn't, I think I just moved to the last job, actually, that was an amazing job. But leading up to that point, I'd been very, very stressed, in a stressful relationship as well, and not really understanding at all about any of this. So there was a lot of shadow, there was a lot of pain in my body to transmute, to release, because I didn't know that I was carrying everyone else's pain as well as my own.
Yeah.
Working in a big 250-year-old hospital as well, but you know, those places don't get cleansed, that they hold a lot of painful energy. So since then, I've always done a lot of work on myself. I've always brought in the light, which started as white light and changed to gold a few years ago. So it's been a gradual. There wasn't one point that I suddenly thought,
yeah.
It has been a gradual stage, and it still is work in progress. You know, we still get triggered. There's still work to do. It's not over yet. We're not walking on water yet.
No, that's very true. But I want to draw attention to this piece that you bring and you hold and you uphold in every action and every moment. I really appreciate that about you, and I want to say thank you, because you have such presence and deep respect and compassion for everybody around you. And it's lovely. Like, there's so much joy, right, knowing you, Denise, right? And the more time we get to spend together, the happier I am. Like, speaking with you is really interesting, and I learn a lot, and I feel very comfortable to ask you questions that I wouldn't always with everyone, right? Not because everyone else is more difficult. I just feel like you're more open to answering, and I never feel challenged or undermined, right? Like, you're like totally cool with like everything everybody does. And that's the way it should be, you know? Like, for me, I'm only a baby in all this, and I'm fascinated by planetary work. I am, right? All of this, like, I have Katie Indigo later today. I've had you as well, right? And both of you very immersed in all of that. And in truth, a lot of it goes way over my head, right? Because I don't understand, right? And many of the audience have said the same. Massive curiosity, but not always understanding what it is. Like, Todd made me tune in. He's come up again, right? He made me tune in an interview to look at grids. And I've been doing that since. I just look and I see things, but I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's interesting to me that I'd have access to the sight of these things and then sort of be like, well, what am I meant to be doing? And there's some small part of me won't go there with the learning, because I'm thinking, I'm too far behind. Everybody else can do it instead. Like, how did you get into it all? Were you just told? And you're just intuitively guided? Like, I know people say that, just do what you're guided to, but it's nice to know. It's nice to understand a bit more. Would you talk to us about that?
Yeah, good question. It kind of spontaneously started happening in Byron.
Yeah.
Where I found I would be doing pretty much the actions of an attunement, a Reiki attunement, but on the land. I remember there's a beautiful fig tree at the place where I used to work at the Backpackers, which was like a little village, called the Arts Factory, which thousands of people stay at each year. There's like space for 500 people there. It's a huge complex, and there's this beautiful fig tree, a Moreton Bay fig, which are very, very majestic trees. And at the time, so I'd gone from being a senior nurse to no responsibilities, living in a tent on the campsite there, doing meditations and gardening for my accommodation. And for the gardening one time, there was a ladder that was going up into the fig tree, and I was like, whoa. So even though I don't like heights, I managed to get up to the first like huge branch. And I was guided to do an activation on the tree, and I'm like, why? Which now kind of makes perfect sense, but at the time was a bit strange. And then other places, beautiful places out in nature, and I was hesitant because it was like, this has beautiful energy anyway. I'm not sure if it's right for me to bring in these frequencies in, but the guidance was always very clear. And now I realized that I was doing planetary work.
Right.
So again, that was probably a bit of a steady evolution to up until 2016, where the real like heavy duty planetary activations started coming in. And it was so interesting because most of those were outside on the beach. And knowing that there were people all over the world doing them as well, like you could feel that.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to meet them and connect with them, which I never dreamed of.
Yeah.
But it's really amazing that we're doing that now and kind of really coming together. Yeah, it's just incredible. I chatted with Rachel Sophia the other week, which is a little connection that's come through from your little hub. And a lot of connections have come through from Todd's hub, but these hubs are really important because they are connecting people. Whether you're meeting in the flesh, in person, or online, either way, it's really important, because we're exchanging codes as we do that, because that happens whether you're speaking light language or not. We're all holding codes that do get shared. So all the knowledge, especially, it's a shame we don't do this, but if we had a third eye to third eye connect when we meet, like they do in New Zealand, you're sharing all that information then.
It's beautiful.
I can't remember what the question was. I can't remember.
It's all right. We're coming from hard. I was asking you about planetary work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm interested, and it's something that I just sort of show up in places, and then I wait to be told to do something, and then I do the thing, and I don't know what the thing did. Right? It's like I'll have a general idea of the information I've been given, but I'm like, am I? And I'm still, because it's new. Like for someone I'm very intuitive, right? But because it's brand new, I'm going, am I making that up? And that's an old paradigm question. Do you know what I mean? It's like, am I making that up? And I was like, I know I'm not, right? But I think it's going to be something I consistently keep pursuing, because I find all of it fascinating, very beautiful, and very natural. And the first time I did it, right? This is amazing, right? My husband's watching for some reason, right? He's at work, but he's watching this in free. And we were in the New Forest, right? And I love it there, Denise. I fell in love with that place. I got there and I cried the whole time. I was getting up at 5 a.m. to sit under the sunrise. The horses were there all over the place. We were right next to this amazing, massive, massive, massive marshland that had cleared towards the middle. So when the sun came up, you watched the sun rise up over it like something from flipping Lion King and Pride Rock, right? And there would be cattle across these miles and miles, and horses and foals across these miles and miles, and loads of trees sort of and rocks around. And it was just stunning. The whole place was so magical. But we were very lucky in that we were in the middle of a heat wave. So we had access to all of this area, all of this space. And we got the bikes and we drove. We were biking through the mud up through this what do you call it? Right, I know this word, but pregnant and the baby's yet the word. Like, like the collection of horses. What's it called? Yeah, one of them. Right. So we drove through them, and then we drove through all the cows and found a clearing by the woods. And it was like just so magical. It was like fairyland. You're landing somewhere like, this is so gorgeous. And straight away I was on the ground, right, doing light language. But I could see, right, with the eyes closed, energetically where this was traveling, and the impact of it, the height of it, the size of it, the energy moving, scared the bejesus out of me. Like some part of me was going, oh, this is so beautiful. Another part's going, what am I doing? Because, I think that's the part that causes many of us to question the roles we may be shown or chosen to do. It's the sudden massive impact of what is possible. And it's the sudden accessibility of it all as well. It's like, I wasn't prepared for that, right? And the transmission I did on that day, I did a video and I shared it around. I don't know where it is now, but it was so immense to me. And since then, that's when I was aware of having tapped into something. And since then I do nothing but listen and watch, right, to all of you, right? And when you're sharing things and going, oh, like Zahara as well, there's just so much to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, I'm not always given, and I don't always ask what I've just done. I just know to do it.
Right.
Sometimes I might get a visual. I'm more of a feeler than visual, but my visual sense is a lot stronger than it used to be. It's pretty strong now. And a knower, but I don't always ask. I just know that I need to do it. And it's kind of like you create a portal with it as well. And it's just really nice to sit in that afterwards and just really absorb all the frequencies that are coming in. And it's all layers. So what you were saying about just being a baby in this, like it's never too late to start this work. This work's going to be going on for quite a long time. And some of us may step away from it, but that will be that the next generation are coming to do it. And it is like we're all putting layers of energy in, and they're all kind of weaving together, creating these new earth templates, because the physical manifests from the energy. It's the energy that's there first.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of templates that we're building at the moment. When I didn't ask for a long time, there was something huge that came in on the 8-8 gateway in 2015. Again, I can't remember if I said this last time I was here. Yeah, actually, they started coming through then. You forget these things sometimes, but they came in even more so in 2016. So the 8-8 gateway, which was 888, because the 2015 was an 8-year as well. And months later, I asked who it was that I was working with, and received that it was a Syrian High Council. I feel I'm working with other beings as well, but I know there's a strong Syrian link with this, and that's also linked with the dolphins as well, that the dolphins supposedly came from Syria. They have really strong Syrian. But yeah, I'm not always given, and I don't always ask exactly what it is I'm doing. I just know to do it. So yeah, same. And I think some are more, the decoding comes more easily to some people than others. I might get visuals, I might not.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really helpful. That actually is really helpful. Like, you've done it in such a subtle way. You're like, I don't even know if you intended. Like, you've totally helped me out there. You just went, yeah, I know. That's so powerful, Denise. That information is incredible. What you know and the experience you have with the light language as well is immense. And I'm seeing so many, kind of popping up, brand new to it. I'm kind of terrified. I get quite a lot of messages, people scared of it. It's like, and it's just the thinking. It's a thinking brain. You're in the thinking brain. You're not feeling into what it is. You're gonna create, something within yourself, or something will come up. And that's the thing. It does kind of like, do you understand light language this way? It kind of does draw up what's there.
Yeah.
Like for you, when it was awakening in you, did you have a lot of stuff? Like that duality was very present for me when I started, at least.
Yeah, and I had, I've been working on my shadow since 2003. So when I became a Reiki master, I was very much guided by my Reiki master to start integrating the shadow for the reasons that we're doing it now, that you can't be a master really without accepting and honoring and loving all of yourself, especially those bits that we hide. So I had been working on that a long time, but even so, as I say, it's still work in progress. So I think, the shadow keeps coming up, whatever it is that's in there, the old distorted programs, the beliefs. And often, you feel you've worked on it, but there's still a little nugget there that still, is deeper in. So it is in layers, and we shift and shift and shift. And sometimes we think things have come up that we've not cleared, but it's actually showing us that we have transmuted that energy, because we can work through it in a different way than from how we used to. So it will bring stuff up, but it's an amazing tool for transmuting it as well. I find when I do sessions and I use light language too, it's so much stronger with the light language. It's at least 10 times stronger, and it just, if an area is a bit blocked or a bit stuck, it just whoosh, and it's gone, and it's flowing again.
No, I'm so with you on that. Working with people, I'm definitely find easier than navigating the planet at the moment, because it's just been so huge. But no, I get you. Like language is like, what the bloody hell is it? It's so amazing. This beautiful non-physical frequency, and I agree with you as well on it being source code. Like, I agree with you massively on that. Like the differentiations are sometimes necessary because there's a strain there, but it's important to think that for anyone listening, for anyone who's accessing this video afterwards, that we know that it is all and everything, and encourages us then to heighten our maybe openness to it, to be more open to it, so we can feel that source frequency. And speaking of feeling source frequencies, is there any chance you might share a transmission with us?
I'd love to.
I worked at it really well, didn't I?
Smooth.
Yeah.
And I don't know how smooth this will be, but it's been coming in for me to wonder if you would like to do some as well.
Yeah.
And especially because it is the 11th day today, so that's 1 and 1 creating together to make a beautiful third energy. So yeah, let's just do this quite organically.
You go for it, and I'll interlude as and when, because if we both go at once, whoever's loudest is gonna be heard. So it's like I'll flow with it, and it's your piece. So whatever's added.
Yeah, beautiful.
We'll just go that way. Okay, thank you.
So let's just bring our awareness to our heart space, first of all, in the center of our chest. And light language speaks to the heart. It bypasses the linear brain, which is why we can't always understand it with the linear brain, because it is so quantum in its nature. Hierot oi koist are ediret anakibrla and ashtea. Kolera I niki berut oi koist hierot oi at ai. Kolehart ona makil. Lea esta nakiele o tonamaka. Kolerat on una. Ore itista.
Quadies me. Shuna. Vika. La. Que otaviese quando visai
Irot oista anakile I parat anakiala. Kole anats und erot on ietut oist arat I erat I iaka. Kole erot on nemakele hitet oista lat udat.
Kiano kwan yet vorus akamarit ari sv at od akan sin aruk amana vitele lanos akania konda ishun vesan the guru like be sotakar parayatando umrat I hiakun ave asunta.
Erot oista enne kirlu ut uttiara. Ilera unama. Elisterot on nieport a iakun. Hestoret an ieret it ieret anakia lerst uia.
Vaye mo Sudan ke Vaye mo
Urta.
Lano se vase Ome
Kiano Erot ostea and the keep osta.
Daravis amni te kei aro o manodo tu fosi te komavara I te ali tu kusundavati e o ma vi te asenas. Thank you.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
That's
Your voice is just amazing.
right back at you. I was like, my bowler is paying attention when you're doing it with me. I'm like, I just sit here. Receive.
And I think with Zoom, there can be a bit of a delay as well. So you're never quite sure. Am I like singing to what you're singing, or am I singing to what you just sang?
I think it's beautiful. I think we did really well there.
I do as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Denise. It's always, always, always a pleasure. You are a gift. Thank you so much. I'll have you again on really soon. Keep us posted on your 21-day thing. I'm going to start sharing them now that I'm aware of you doing it that often. It's like, you've saved about 6 videos, and I'm like, right, let's go find the rest of them. Guys, if you're not following Denise Chadwick, please do. What's your page again?
So there's my normal profile, and if you do www.facebook.com/Inner Peace with Denise, all one word. My YouTube channel is Inner Peace with Denise as well. If you just write in on the Facebook thing, it's Denise's Frequency of Love page, which is way too long. And I just wanted to mention as well that I'm feeling to do, so the activations that I do that bring in the crystalline frequencies and connect, it's kind of like a Reiki attunement that's in there as well, but there's way much more to it. Yeah. So if anyone's channeling energy, they'll channel more at the end of this, but it will also connect you with the crystalline frequencies of energy that are coming through on the planet, but also the crystalline grid as well, so that the energy is also drawn from there that we transmit and become, because this is what we're becoming as well. So I was getting the nudge the other day to do that. So if people might be interested in that, would they either let me know on the comments? But I'm feeling that I'll offer that maybe in the next month, and it might be something that I do regularly. And the Rose Garden of Alchemization is still, I'm not quite sure where that's going, but I'll know more soon.
Oh, wow. Love it. Thank you. I'm in if you're doing that. Guys, thank you so much. This is Denise. Denise's truth is ultimately our unity. Can we please keep sharing it and keep sharing it? I'll be back in half an hour with Jessie May. Bye, Denise.
Thank you. It's so beautiful to chat with. So much love.
Bye.
Bye.